Indian National Congress, which says many Indians join hands to demand for India's nationalism purely Hindu in religion. The Indian National Congress therefore became a more Hindu political party than a voice of all of India. Now, it's not just that. These textbooks also pit Hindi against Urdu by referring to the 1867 controversy over the debate on which language should be chosen as a national language. Pakistani textbooks claim that Hindus wanted Hindi as the official language and that Hindi was pitched as an official language instead of Urdu. And riots broke out over Hindi versus Urdu as the official language. And these textbooks don't stop there. They blame India for the partition, never saying anything about the role of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. The books say that Pakistan territory was divided into two parts and it was Pakistan that was separated by hostile Indian land. The mass violence during the partition has been blamed entirely on the Indian government. The books also claim that partition led to the massacre of Muslims and Sikhs and that Muslims were forced to leave their homes and migrate. The books go on to talk about the problems faced by the newly formed state of Pakistan and largely blame India for this. They also refer to the Khilafat movement of 1919. It says that Muslims learned that they couldn't trust Hindus as a result of the Khilafat movement and that they needed to create unity among themselves. The book also claims that the Khilafat movement was introduced for Muslims and was meant as a concept of nationhood for Muslims of India. So let me now bring in our guests who are joining us on this. Shehzad Poonawala is BJP national spokesperson. Omar Altaf is a senior Pakistan journalist. Omar Altaf, let me start with you because, for me, the most startling thing has been the reference to Mahatma Gandhi as a leader of only the Hindus and the Indian National Congress as a party of only the Hindus. I don't think any leader in the history of the subcontinent fought for independence or for Hindu-Muslim unity as much as Gandhi did.
Absolutely, you're right in highlighting the greatness of Gandhi, the founder of India. I think no attempts. I think Gandhi's role is universally accepted. But in Modi's India, it's not accepted. In Modi's India, his killers are glorified, as you must be aware how RSS thinks.
But Mr. Altaf, I'm asking you about Pakistani textbooks.
No, I think any textbook that criticizes or paints Gandhi in a negative way, it should be condemned.
So why are Pakistani kids being taught that? Why are Pakistani kids in classes 8, 9 in Pakistani schools being taught that Gandhi was just a leader of the Hindus?
I think that curriculum is not right for young minds and it should be rectified. That's my opinion. But how do you have the audacity to point out?
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Trouble is mounting for former Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. Aam Aadmi Party leader was arrested by the ED yesterday evening, remember, even as he was already in jail just a day before his bail hearing over the arrest by the CBI was to be heard today. The central agency has accused Sisodia of destroying evidence and having a direct role in the liquor scam. Sisodia was grilled by the ED for 2 consecutive days, in fact 8 hours on that day in Tihar jail before his formal arrest. The ED argued for a 10-day custody of the accused, but the Delhi court has given them a week till March 17. Meanwhile, Sisodia suffered another setback. His CBI arrest bail plea will now come up for hearing only on March 21. Sisodia has been in jail for 2 weeks already, remember. BJP staged a massive protest in the national capital today, seeking the resignation of Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, whom they allege is the real kingpin of this scam. Remember, the ED has already summoned K. Kavita of the BRS in Delhi Liquorgate probe, and it comes after more and more accused are being still arrested. Even as a massive political war breaks out, the agencies are sending a very different message, that they are supremely confident of making their case and proving the charges. At the same time, everything hinges on whether they can prove the money trail. So is the noose tightening around Sisodia, or is there any way out for him still? And what happens to other key names in the case? We'll take those questions to our guests in just a bit. The Enforcement Directorate told the court that Sisodia destroyed as many as 14 phones in 1 year and used phones bought by others. This is one of the big things that has been charged against him, as the fact that this is mens rea. Clearly, you had something to hide. That's why you were doing this while being a sitting minister. Sisodia's lawyers have questioned the timing of the ED's arrest, saying the court cannot ignore this as it comes just a day before Sisodia's bail hearing was to come up. As the ED read out the allegations against the former minister, it told the court that the scam also involved government beneficiaries. Arguing for Sisodia, the lawyer said that Delhi LG himself has approved the liquor policy. So then, why is it that he is being held guilty alone? The ED alleged that kickbacks worth over 100 crore rupees have been received in advance by the Aam Aadmi Party's communication in charge Vijay Nair from the South Lobby Group in exchange for formulating and bringing a favourable excise policy. Sisodia's lawyers, though, argued that not a single penny till date can be traced back to the former Deputy Chief Minister. But there is another sensational twist in this case, especially involving the South Group. Even as K. Kavita is set to appear before the agencies, her alleged close aide, Arun Pillai, another accused in the case arrested earlier, has filed a fresh plea. So K. Kavita's close aide has moved Delhi's Rouse Avenue court, seeking to retract his statements given to the ED. Pillai alleges that these were recorded under duress, under force. Court has issued a notice to the ED over this plea filed by Pillai, and that matter will be heard in a few days from now on March 13. Meanwhile, there was political showdown in the national capital. K. Kavita held a hunger strike. This is for the Women's Reservation Bill. And as you can see, it also became a show of strength of sorts for other opposition parties, some like-minded parties to come together. The BJP mounted a sarcastic campaign against AAP government, showing, for example, Satyendra Jain, one of their jailed ministers, being massaged inside jail, even as their workers staged a massive protest on the streets against the Aam Aadmi Party. They were detained and stopped by the police at various places as well. Let me also, though, break down the prominent names arrested in this case so far. It makes for a very interesting read and shows you why the tentacles of this scam reached the South Group very prominently. First are some of the names of the prominent names from Delhi, the national capital. So there is, of course, Manish Sisodia at the center of the storm. He was the excise minister. He is accused of tweaking the policy so that he can receive kickbacks. He means the Aam Aadmi Party. There's the likes of Vijay Nair, the Aam Aadmi Party communications in charge. He's been identified as by the agencies as a key conspirator, someone who designed this entire alleged scam. There's the likes of Dinosh Arora, for example, restaurateur, and he's someone who's coordinated the kickbacks. He's turned approver, so his testimony is going to be very key. And then the likes of Amandeep Dal, liquor businessman, Sameer Mahindra of the Indo Spirits Group, liquor businessman. Dal is accused of facilitating the kickbacks to AAP, and similarly, Sameer Mahindra is accused of making payments to Sisodia's aides. Now, all of them benefited from the policy and they facilitated the kickbacks. Let's take a look at the prominent South Group faces now. Arun Pillai, the man I just mentioned in the center, because he is supposed to be close to K. Kavita, her aide, he facilitated the payments for AAP on behalf of the South Group. Now, it is alleged that it's the South Group predominantly that benefited, apart from some others based in the national capital, and they all basically facilitated kickbacks. So, take a look at some other names. There's Abhishek Bonapalli, businessman. He lobbied for the South Group, the face of them. Goranta Buchi Babu, he's K. Kavita's former chartered accountant. He represented the South Group in a lot of these meetings that are being talked about. There's Raghav Magunta, who's son of the YSRCP MP. He's part of the alleged South Group of businessmen and other promoters. And Amit Arora is also a businessman who's alleged to have facilitated the payments from the South Group to the Aam Aadmi Party. There are other individuals, also businessmen, who've been arrested, as many as over a dozen arrests that have been made in this case. And there are those, for example, who have received the kickbacks directly so that they can plan or fund the campaign for the Aam Aadmi Party in Goa. Now, that's the charge against the Aam Aadmi Party. It may have not benefited their leaders individually with money in their pockets, but it was used to fund their election campaigning. So the big question that's coming up is the news tightening on Manish Sisodia. Is there any other way out for him now?
I would say that 58 pages of the remand application, all blown up allegations, nothing substantial, and not a single iota of an evidence where it has been shown that the money trail has reached to Mr. Sisodia.
मुझे जो आगे की तस्वीर दिख रही है उसमें अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का भी शायद यही हश्र होगा जो आज मनीष सिसोदिया का हुआ है।
ये हमारी नज़र में मनीष सिसोदिया जी शिक्षा मंत्री थे, मनीष सिसोदिया जी शिक्षा मंत्री हैं और मनीष सिसोदिया जी ही शिक्षा मंत्री रहेंगे। केंद्र सरकार चाहे कितने भी झूठे केस लगाकर मनीष जी, सत्येंद्र जी जैसे व्यक्तियों को जेल में डाल दे, लेकिन जो उनका प्रयास है कि दिल्ली वालों के काम को रोका जाए, उस प्रयास को हम कभी सफल नहीं होने देंगे।
Going across to the guests joining us, Shazia Ilmi of the BJP will be with us very soon. Talasani Sai Kiran is senior BRS leader. Dr. Piyush Joshi is political analyst, leans towards the Aam Aadmi Party. Namit Saxena, Supreme Court lawyer. R. Rajagopalan, senior journalist, tracking the case very closely, all on the show. I want to go across to Dr. Piyush Joshi first. In the absence of the Aam Aadmi Party, they declined to be part of this panel. But I want to ask you, it doesn't look like talking about Manish Sisodia as an education minister because he did what he did as an education minister, or making him a martyr is helping the Aam Aadmi Party, because ultimately the agencies seem to be very confident of the proof that they have against him. And the courts are giving them more and more custody for a reason.
Well, it is very clear that why the courts are giving them more and more custody. We very well know the recent amendments to the PMLA Act and what it does to the accused. Everything is on the papers as of now. Very, very clear that at best it could have been a policy flaw, nothing more. And that is the best case scenario for ED. So because ED is not able to prove the money trail directly to Mr. Manish Sisodia ji. Now let us talk about
no,
ED.
once again, you talked about the ED. Remember, he's already in custody by the CBI, right?
Fair enough.
So the PMLA Act doesn't apply there.
Agreed. And that's why, even in my previous debates, I did mention that ED is going to come into picture, because with the CBI remand, they cannot keep him indefinitely into the custody and bail will be granted eventually. But when the ED gets involved, when the PMLA Act gets into the picture, then you can keep him in custody indefinitely, like you are keeping Mr. Satyendra Jain ji.
But why are they not getting relief?
ED.
I'm happy you mentioned Satyendra Jain. Why is he not getting any relief as the charges don't have a leg to stand on? That's the fundamental question.
Well, that is the fundamental question. That is, and the answer is the PMLA Act, and we can debate about it till the cows come home, because the onus is on Mr. Satyendra Jain to prove that he has not laundered any money, despite there not being any direct evidence that Mr. Satyendra Jain was a director of those companies when the alleged money laundering happened.
But now, in this case, Mr. Sisodia is a government minister. He's not an independent identity. He's a part of a government. He's a minister.
Absolutely. I totally agree that he is not an independent identity, and he is a government minister, and an important one at that.
Yes.
And ED can act all confident, but the reality is that it has only got 0.5% conviction rate. And why it has only such a minuscule conviction rate? The reason is very clear, because the ED's real job is to prevent the actual money laundering from happening, like has happened in case of a very prominent industrialist, and Hindenburg files point towards that. Now, when we are talking about something else, the Swiss bank deposits have increased by 50%. What is the ED doing about it?
But none of that explains. I take your charge against the agencies, but none of that explains the charges against Manish Sisodia or the Delhi government per se, of what they were doing, making a policy that reeked so much of absolute harakiri, and then retracting that policy the moment there were questions raised on that policy. I'm sorry, none of that explains their own actions. Mr. Rajagopalan? What do you make of the defenses that are coming in from the Aam Aadmi Party? You know, the ED, the CBI, despite big names involved, the likes of Manish Sisodia, K. Kavita, they're not backing off.
Madam, one thing, important thing, the representative of Aam Aadmi Party should explain why the file is missing.
Yes.
Why the file is missing. Second thing, why it was from 5 to 12%, and why the age was, increased to 21. Why? So these three are the committee report did not suggest this. Why you tweak the committee report? And there was no cabinet meeting according to the charge sheet. And second thing, you all talk about many important things. The relationship between Kavita and Sisodia, that has been established very factually by the ED. The advocate may speak about Adani, but we are talking about apple, not orange. The cow may be home or cow may not be home. But Pillai is a key, in South Cartel, the Ramachandran Pillai.
But what do you make? Mr. Pillai today has filed a plea saying that this statement has been filed under duress.
Shivani, 1 second, give me 1 second. I don't want to take more than time. There are 9 retail zones in Delhi. Liquor has been allotted to them. Why Mr. Sisodia took Kavita's friends, Organics Kaviti, Avantika, Kalogali, Trident, Makunda Agro. These are all set at 9, and I can give you from the chart sheet the zone number 31, zone number 18, 26, the zone number 2 and 3. Why the South Cartel has been given with a 12% commission? Said therefore, there is a fraud committed by Mr. Sisodia. It's a criminal offense. That is why CBI has taken him into custody. Arvind Kejriwal may give certificate. Advocate may argue. But ED argument is different. My argument is simple, that why the file is missing, the crucial file.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. When have we ever heard that a minister in charge is unable to explain how the decision came into being? That itself is a smoking gun. The fact that there is a file missing. Otherwise, it would be so easy for Mr. Manish Sisodia to show, see, this is how this decision was made. And it was a collective decision.
The file missing and South Cartel, this Ramachandran Pillai. If you connect these 3 dots, you can understand the criminality. And
but Mr. Pillai today says that the statement filed the statement given by me was under duress. Don't you think it complicates the matter for the ED?
It may be, it is for the ED to say, but Pillai has taken 100 crores or not. You say that yes or no. 100 crores is not an easy amount. And second thing, Gauri Apartments in Delhi, Ferozshah Road, where the meeting was held in 2021, May 18th. I can tell you exactly 2 years before the meeting took place. And Samir met Kavita in early 2022 along with Pillai. These are all certain points which you have to put the dots. Advocate may reject it because it is his profession to do that. My professional dharma demands I must place the facts before the public. Let the public decide it.
Okay. Shazia Elmi of the BJP is also with us. But before that, let me go across to our member from the BRS also joining us. You know, if you look at what's happening with Manish Sisodia, the moment the trouble mounts for him and the news tightens around him, there is greater trouble for your leader K. Kavita as well. Because whether they have met personally or not, there are too many links between the two. You cannot shrug off that link. Ultimately, yes, the agencies will have to prove that. But the charges are not going anywhere. And whether you talk about you being harassed as an opponent or as an opposition or this being political vendetta, none of that is explaining the dots, as Mr. Rajagopalan is saying.
So you yourself have answered the thing in the question saying that it may not be proved because the case started on Ms. Kavita on August of last year. And the CBI came to our house for interrogation or investigation or just for information on December 9th. And today we are talking about March 10th we are. So, and we have a case study that there are around 5,200 odd cases which have been registered in the last 10 years or 9 years, and only the conviction happened for 23 cases. So here, I am unable to understand if Kavita is involved in anywhere for any sort of any proof, why don't you show it? And why do you always give the details to media? Why the media has to be leaked for every single detail? For example, Kavita's number has been mentioned and the document came in the media. Imagine the harassment Kavita Gaurav has been going through regarding that. And one more thing I want to tell you, what happened to the BJP MLA who was caught with 8 crore rupees just 3 days back, or 4 days back, or 5 days back. Where is he right now? So we are just getting out of our
you've mentioned a lot of things, but they don't quite correlate. As far as the BJP leader's son is concerned, that's a separate matter. Whether we like it or not, he has got bail from court. No, sir, whether we like it or not, he's got relief from the court, right? Tomorrow, Miss Kavita gets it, Manish Sisodia gets it, nobody will question it. It is as simple as that. My question to you is slightly different. You are saying that, you know, your number has been leaked, etc., etc. Ultimately, the point is that the charges are very serious. Explain the charges.
No, it can't be proven because she's not involved. That is 100%. She's not involved, and it can't be proved. If there was any substantial evidence, it would have been out by now. Because the vendetta is very strong, and this is not the first state they are targeting.
But they came to your house, you say, on December. We are in early March.
Let me finish.
Are you saying in 4 months, if nothing has come out, then case should be dismissed? You know the amount of time these cases take in India?
So how do you decide? How do you decide? Is this judge who is deciding on the panel that Kavita has done this? So how do you decide?
No, I'm not deciding that. I'm saying that charges need to be explained. Just saying that this is political vendetta is possibly not enough.
Can I come in, please?
Yes, Shazia, I'll give you one minute, Shazia, 1 minute. Let him just finish.
Can I be allowed to?
Let him take 30 seconds and you respond.
And we are expecting such kind of an attack because the elections are going to be coming soon in Telangana. So before Modi comes, ED comes to any state, that is a practice which is happening in TMC. For example, I am telling 99.8% of who are registered the cases or non-BJP. So kya pure BJP they are doodh ke dule hai or they are from Ganga hai? What is that? What is
that?
Okay, Shazia.
This is what all of you together.
See,
so it seems
this country is
it
going
seems
into
all
a wrong
the
direction.
no, sir, you've not made any new point. The only pointed question that I wish to ask you and people of Delhi and your state need to ask you is a very simple one. What is the connection of,
where is 5 trillion economy?
Can I come in, please?
Jobs?
Let her come in. Let her come in, Mr. Kiran.
It will not work.
Mr. Kiran, let her respond, then you respond to that.
Clearly, you are... You know, the reason why you're all over the place is because you know that your leader is completely immersed in corruption.
Please prove.
There is no answer. I'm telling you, you have to be quiet. You'll have to be quiet. Your nervousness is speaking right now. You'll have to quiet it down. No. I want to ask you, what is the connection of K. Kavita? I can't speak like this. This man is not allowing me to speak at all. He has not been. I want to speak, and I want some time from this channel.
You must allow her to come in now.
So that I can be allowed to speak.
Mr. Kiran, not like this. You've got ample time, please.
So I want.
No, Mr. Kiran, not like this. I'll come back to you. Let her come in, and then you'll get your opportunity.
Everybody.
Yes, Shazia.
All the panelists and viewers of this debate saw how Mr. Kiran has so much to contribute to this panel discussion, but the topic, and it is the same old yawning, yarn that is bandied around as always. The basic question is, what is the connection of K. Kavita, the party supremo's daughter, with Samir Mahindru, and then what is the connection with Vijay Nair, and then what is the connection with Bonam Pillai? And then what is the connection with Arun Pillai? Please answer that. It's a very basic and a pointed question.
Okay.
Do not go all over the place. We'll not allow you to derail this. This is a matter of blatant corruption, which is for everybody to see. Do not hide behind this political vendetta. The cases have been going on. Were the elections going on in Delhi? Then how come Manish Sisodia has been arrested? Yes, no, not good. Not good. Bad for you. Bad for you, and that is what people want to know. What ED is doing elsewhere, what was K. Kavita doing? Why was K. Kavita so deeply involved along with the liquor mafia and Indo spirits and insisting on giving licenses? Oh yes, no, do not do. This all bhakti you can do at some other channel. I want to know the answer as a BJP party spokesperson, as a co-founder of Aam Aadmi Party, and as a Delhi citizen. Please tell us what happened to the collections. What happened to the excise policy? Why were you involved? Why were you involved in formulating
Nobody's
it?
involved.
Was it
See,
designed
they were
specially to benefit the liquor gate of South? So the
for the
queen
target,
pin of
what
South,
BJP has
liquor
on
gate,
Telangana state,
is being asked
we
very
were
simple
involved. You
questions,
wouldn't have left
which
us
your
that
dear lady is not able to answer. Answer them,
She's not
sir.
able to
Okay,
answer.
can I
Answer
come
She has
them.
in?
gone
Do
on
not
every
go all over
channel,
the
including
place.
this channel
Do
yesterday
not go
also,
all over
that
the
she has
place.
answered every question.
No, I will
Why?
not allow for this
Okay,
to happen.
can I come in? Can I come in?
I feel very
Shazia,
seriously about
Shazia,
this.
you make a
Because
very
what we
passionate.
will
One
also
second,
do-
one second, Mr. Kiran, one second.
Corruption is
Shazia,
corruption is corruption.
Shazia, you make a very passionate charge of the connections. I've outlined them. But you know, the fundamental question that obviously the BRS and K. Kavita will ask is that you've made these connections. Is there anything on paper?
Yes.
Is there anything, any document, any
Okay, I
company
have an answer.
that all of them are part of that we should believe in?
I'm telling you that.
We are ready
No,
for
but we've not seen
investigation.
any of that, right?
Listen,
If all of
document,
them are in
there is
cahoots, there
obviously
has to be something to link them together.
No,
Yes, that's the
no,
agency's
it's
job.
been-
Yes.
It has been their informers. No, then Shivani, you don't know. The informers who were their people, who have supplied documents. There's a digital trace. That is why 170 phones have been destroyed. 170 phones. Interception of FaceTime
no, madam.
calls
Can I answer
between...
that
One second, Mr. Kiran, let her come in,
the
complete, then you
Supremo's
come
daughter.
in.
No, sir. No, let me finish. 6, and you know, just Manish Sisodia in 2 days used 6 instruments, and later on, when the inquiry began, decided to destruct them. What kind of new hobby is this? That all the accomplices from across the states are busy destroying the phones.
Okay.
After the inquiries began.
No, but then ultimately
even then
the
there's
fact-
a digital trace. Even
I know
then,
that
there's a
destruction
FaceTime
of
call that is intercepted.
destruction of evidence
So
is
my
a very
dear
serious
friends,
charge.
you cannot run away very far.
Okay, Shazia,
no, we
destruction
are
of
not
evidence
Yes,
is a very
yes.
serious charge
And
the
I
agencies have
do
made
not
on
go
Manish
all over the
Sisodia.
place.
But ultimately,
So
they'll have
these
to
are the
tie it.
real-
One second, Mr. Kiran, you
Yes,
respond to
yes.
what she's
It's
saying.
tied.
Yes.
You
been
respond to
done.
what she's saying. I have a further question to you, but please go ahead. 30 seconds. Respond.
So I asked them to prove. So
Yeah.
are the agencies so weak that they just claim that they have destroyed the instrument? And for the fact, as Kavita has mentioned yesterday also, that she is a lover of all the gadgets and she is the lover of new phones. So she gets phones every new iPhone comes down. So what's wrong in that?
Oh,
and one more
wonderful.
thing. My father
So
is
this
an
is a new
official receiver
hobby.
of Mr. Narendra
Keep
Modi.
destroying phones.
And I tell that I have given
No, you
1,000
can
crores to
exchange
Narendra
phones.
Modi. So how
You
do
don't
I
have to
know that?
destroy them.
Nobody's destroyed. It's at their home. They could have collected it.
So
They should
you,
have shown in the
so,
evidence.
so
They
exactly,
should have shown to the
you,
TV.
you want to brazen it
They should
out,
have proven
and
it.
which is what
They should have put it
the
somewhere now.
which is the court
And
will
one more
determine.
thing I'll tell.
Which is
See, my
exactly what
father,
it
Mr.
is there for
Srinivas
everybody to
Yadav
see,
Kanasari,
sir. You are running away. You are lying through your teeth. You are lying. You are lying. It's all out there. Read the charges. Answer the questions. Tell K. Kavita not to go here, there, and run helter skelter. Tell her to go to court and answer the question. Tell her to go. Tell her to go to the ED and answer the questions. Tell her to answer.
Okay,
Tell her to
she
answer
will
the
have to.
questions.
She will have to do that.
Yes,
Okay, let me come in. Let me come in. Let me come in. Namit
Why?
Saxena has not
Why do you have
spoken.
to destroy evidence?
Okay, fair enough. Namit Saxena has not spoken. Namit, the fundamental question I want to ask you is that Sisodia has been saying that none of this money can be traced back to me. In the sense, it's not in my accounts, it's not at my home. You've raided what I owned. You have not found anything. Nothing has been found in raids. In law, is that a sufficient argument, or can the agency say that, see, you don't have to receive the money directly, individually, as long as the agency can prove that there were kickbacks for your party?
See, these are very extraordinary crimes. So extraordinary crimes require extraordinary measures to be investigated and to solve these crimes. Second, see, when we understand money laundering, as you rightly said, see, it is not important that you actually received the money or not.
Okay.
In money laundering, two very important stages are layering and integration. So there are layers which are to be unfolded and where the money was actually integrated. Actually, if money is received or not is immaterial by the accused, to constitute an offense of money laundering or to constitute an offense of proceeds of crime as well. Either. And very importantly, this will demolish whatever, a lot of panelists today have said on your show. See, in cases of money laundering, there is something which is known as reverse onus. It is not on the prosecution or the investigating agency to prove its case beyond reasonable doubt because of the presence of this theorem of reverse onus in the PMLA Act. The burden to judge, that to disprove the charges is on the accused to prove that, that I have not committed these offences which you are alleging against me. This is broadly the theorem of reverse onus.
Yes, I think one of our panelists mentioned that. But I think one of the fundamental arguments that Manish Sisodia has been making is, where are the proceeds of crime? Right?
That
Chief
is- that-
Minister
that-
Arvind
this
Kejriwal also says that. Have you found
This
even a
argument
single
is
paisa with Manish
completely
Sisodia?
false.
But is that a
I
legal
can
defense
put
in
it-
such a case?
Mani, I can put it at the highest pedestal. This argument is
But do you even
completely
consider-
flawed. See, there are only two defenses in criminal law. One, the crime never happened. Second, the crime may or may not have happened. I have not done it. There is no third defense in criminal law. In both these defenses, this argument which they are taking that the money, you can't trace money to me. This argument is completely flawed. This argument is not going to sail them anywhere down the line.
Can I just request all of my guests to just hold their thoughts? We are getting some more of the ED's remand copy as far as Manish Sisodia is concerned. This copy now very interestingly says that total proceeds of crimes are actually 292.8 crores. They have broken it down into two. So kickbacks received from South Group is 100 crores that we've been mentioning. But they're also mentioning profit of Indo Spirits as per Excise Department letter dated 23/09/2022, 192.8 crores. So the ED then says in its remand copy, by above acts which they have alleged against Manish Sisodia, Sisodia has conspired with other persons and actively involved in formation of a faulty policy against kickbacks. By such acts, proceeds of crime to the tune of at least 292.8 crore at least have been generated, and Mr. Sisodia has played a role in generation, transfer, concealment of the proceeds of crime and projected the same as untainted. Let me take a quick response from Dr. Piyush Joshi. The trouble is only mounting for Manish Sisodia, Mr. Joshi. You know, these are very serious allegations, and agencies don't make these allegations on paper just willy-nilly.
Well, it is very clear, and we have talked about the conviction rate of Enforcement Directorate. So with 0.5% conviction rate, do their arguments hold any value? We must all introspect, because that is an agency which belongs to us as the people of India. And I don't think Manish Sisodia ji should be perturbed by all these allegations. If he has not committed any crime, which I firmly believe so, courts will ultimately decide in its due course of time. He should expect with this government in power that they will leave no stone unturned to put you in jail. It is very clear cut, and 292 crores in which you include the profits of a company as well, and an alleged transfer of money of about 100 crore rupees, as you yourself have mentioned. And the BJP spokesperson are all over the place saying the corpus of the alleged scam is 3,000 crores. So the corpus is not yet defined.
Okay.
I am glad that at least CD has come to a conclusion that it is allegedly probably 292 crores.
Okay,
which
Shazia,
is,
the opposition does have a point. You look at any state.
It is awesome.
One second, let me ask the question. I have final minute left. Shazia, you look at any state where the BJP wants to make inroads, Bengal, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, where Aam Aadmi Party has been, beating you for the last 10 years. All of their leaders face some investigation or the other. And then, as Piyush is saying, what comes of these investigations? The rate of conviction is absolutely appalling.
Okay. So, that is where he wants to take us, because he doesn't want to answer the questions that are being faced by them in particular.
Shazia ji, I have answered you
from the particular to the general because you run away. But I want to answer. No, you have never been able to answer. I'm challenging you. The connection of K. Kavita to Vijay Nair to, no, you're not able to. Let me finish.
Let her finish, please. Let her
Can I
finish.
come in, please? No, my dear friend, no.
I have limited time. Let her finish, please.
You're lying.
I have limited time. Let her finish. Mr. Joshi, you had your say. Let her finish now.
You can do your
30 seconds.
You can do your. Yeah, you see, beyond your bhakti gan, you have not been able to connect the dots or be able to explain. And this is Pope Manish Sisodia. You speak for him. He himself has not been able to explain. He goes up and down. They ask him questions he doesn't know. So the fact of the matter is the blatant accusations and the blatant charges of corruption, and therefore everybody to see.
Okay.
Not just that, I want to ask you, so just because you're in the opposition, you're allowed to be corrupt? And also, if you say that, there's so many charges, I have a very simple solution. If you think Center can get after you, Piyush ji, please tell Manish, your Guru ji, don't engage in corruption. Don't have links. Do not give kickbacks. Do not do
if you are in BJP, are you allowed to be corrupt?
No, that's not a defense for anyone. I've run out of time. All I can say fundamentally
I'm telling you
that the excuse that there is corruption happening somewhere else, why are you not acting on that, is not a defense for your corruption. Ultimately, if there is corruption and it gets caught, then you have to explain that act. I have to leave it at that. I do thank some of our guests for joining us. Some of them will continue with us because I have to move on to the next story. The widows of Pulwama Martyrs, who've been protesting outside Congress leader Sachin Pilot's Jaipur home, were detained by cops in the wee hours of Friday and sent to a local police station. Recall that these widows have been camped outside Pilot's home in Jaipur since Monday. They were asking the Chief Minister, Ashok Gehlot, to give a written assurance about their demands for jobs for Pulwama Martyrs' relatives. The opposition is outraged and accused the Gehlot government of demeaning the braves and their families because of the police action especially. BJP leaders and police in fact battled earlier today as BJP MP Kirodilal Meena claimed he was prevented from meeting the widows. Following the clashes, the BJP MP has been hospitalized at Savan Mine Singh Hospital. Chief Minister Gehlot has hit back at the BJP though, claiming that this is the opposition politicizing a simple issue. Let's take a quick recap of how these protests escalated and why the government is under question. So it's February 28 when Pulwama Martyrs' widows sat on a dharna at Gehlot's house over non-fulfillment of promises made by the state government. The widows accused Rajasthan police then of assault and ill-treatment. March 4, widows launched an indefinite hunger strike, and they also, 2 days later, sat on a dharna at Sachin Pilot's house this time. Sachin Pilot, who's been warring with Ashok Gehlot to be noted, met these widows. He urged his own government to accept the demands made by them. By March 8, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had also called the Chief Minister of the state over the alleged assault of the widows. Yesterday, NCW wrote to DGP Rajasthan to probe this alleged assault as well. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Gehlot has termed the demands by Martyrs' widows unjustified. Again today, the widows were detained from the protest side and taken to the local police station. This is what the widows are demanding, that there should be an installation of the martyrs' statues in their villages, that roads and schools should be named after the martyrs, and jobs be given to relatives of the martyrs' families, not just the kids, on compassionate grounds. The Chief Minister is not on the same page. In fact, he called them unjustified. He has said Pulwama widows' demands are inappropriate, adding that the government cannot snatch the rights of martyrs' children for the relatives. 2 statues of martyr Hemraj Meen have already been installed, but remember there are as many as 5 martyrs of the Pulwama attack that hailed from Rajasthan. And Gehlot accused BJP of using the widows to gain political mileage. The big question we're asking is, even as this dharna is going on, these protests are on, is the Rajasthan government guilty of high-handedness? Could they have handled this better?
एक क्रूर मुख्यमंत्री को समझाओ बालाजी महाराज। हाँ ढोकर देख लो, बैरिकेड लगा दी, भारी पुलिस बल है, धक्का मुक्की हुई, आपके सामने हुई। वीरांगना से मिलाते हैं डॉक्टर साहब को तो मुकर गए।
आखिर ऐसा क्या मांग रही हैं वीरांगनाएं, और ऐसी क्या बात है कि राजस्थान सरकार के मुख्यमंत्री उनसे मिलने से मना कर रहे हैं? ये कांग्रेस पार्टी झूठी पार्टी है और झूठे वादे करती है।
Shazia Ilmi of the BJP stays with us. Colonel Shailendra Singh, defence expert, is joining us. Also, Advocate Arshpreet Singh Kadial of the Congress Party. Arshpreet, I'll start with you. The Congress has always held this opinion that, protest is a democratic right. You stood by the farmers' protests, which were questioned by many, especially the manner in which those protests were being held. Similarly, anti-CAA protests in the national capital. What justifies the Congress government behaving like this on a few widows sitting and protesting and, mounting their dharna? Why are they being uprooted? You believe in protests.
Kindly allow me a minute and a half uninterrupted. First and foremost, before I go to the families of our martyrs, let me make one thing very clear. That the Bharatiya Janata Party has no locus standi at all whatsoever to question us over this. Because it is the very Bharatiya Janata Party that hasn't been able to compensate and give jobs to the frontline workers who died during COVID, to the 700 farmers that have been martyred, and to the 4 farmers that were allegedly mowed down by the Bharatiya Janata Party's minister's son. Number 3, the farmers, apart from the farmers, the people, there were 6 people who died during a
Bharatiya and number 5.
Shazia, let him finish.
So the people who died during a Bharatiya Janata Party's rally have not been compensated, have not been given jobs. And the Pulwama Martyrs came. They were promised by the Bharatiya Janata Party 25 lakhs and jobs. All this not being done by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Therefore, they do not get to question us. What they are doing now, coming to the second limb, the Bharatiya Janata Party is accustomed to doing politics even over our martyrs. Now, let us make one thing very clear.
Okay, no, one second. You didn't answer my question.
Coming to your question. Whoever has done any wrong there, whether it be the police or anyone, they will be brought to justice. We promise that. We assure that. Number 3, the family is questioned. What do they want? They say, for example, there was a widow who said that my husband's brother should be given a job. We had a concern that if the relatives of the martyr are given a job, what will happen to the rights of the children? Their children's rights would be trampled upon. What about their future? Do they not deserve a job? So therefore, the Bharatiya Janata Party questioning us over this.
But your own leader, Sachin Pilot, has asked your government to consider these demands and agree to these demands.
Exactly. See, that is the beauty of our party. We have difference in opinion. We can speak. We can put forth our opinions. We won't be shut out like the BJP does. But coming to question, has Bharatiya Janata Party...
No, don't talk about Bharatiya Janata Party ad nauseum, Arshpreet. This is the problem. They're not in power in Rajasthan. Where you are in power, you will be questioned. No, one second. No, I've given you enough time. I've given you enough time. I need to fundamentally ask the same question again. Congress party believes that democracy means protests. Even ugly protests on the streets. You have backed those protests in the name of freedom. Why is it that a Congress government cannot digest a protest being done by martyrs' widows on the streets? Were they digging up roads?
You haven't heard me clearly.
No, but why did you have to go why did you have to go all high-handed and uproot these women when you say you stand for protests?
Or if any police official or anyone else has done any wrongdoing, they will be brought to justice.
But why not already? It's been days already. Arshpreet, talk is cheap.
There's a difference. There's been years by the Bharatiya Janata Party. They haven't given jobs or compensation to 6 different groups.
How does that make you look better?
Farmers, 6 men who died in rally, the Pulwama victims, and many more. It's been more than 6
So why don't you talk? Why don't you act and show that you are better? These are all excuses.
We are not making excuses. I'm sorry. It's about the rights of the children of those martyrs.
No, I'm not arguing with you on that. Whatever is your counter, whatever is the counter made by the Chief Minister is a debate that can be held. My question is very fundamental to you. As a party that has supported protests where people were being beaten and roads were being dug up, you do not have the temerity to withstand a protest by martyrs' widows? This is the kind of protest you stand for? Very easy to talk about protests when it's happening in someone else's ruled state. Congress governments have a very different outlook when it's happening in their states. Shazia Ilmi, you are politicizing an issue instead of discussing the issue. Please, okay, let her come in now. Let her come in. Colonel Singh has not spoken. Shazia Ilmi only.
So we heard the Congress spokesperson floundering, screaming, shouting, but not being able to answer the basic question as to why the widows of Pulwama are being treated so insensitively, are being uprooted, and you have an administration that is actually misbehaving with them. And instead of answering any of the questions of the party which talks about the right to protest indefinitely and does marches, is not able to, the spokesperson of this party is not able to have one statement on the complete ineptitude and cruelty meted out to the widows of the martyrs, who have demands and are being thrown around and are being ill-treated, and the Rajasthan CM is scared to even meet them. What is the fear of Congress party? that they seem to want to uproot them instead of engaging with them. These are the people who are showing BJP or the charge that constantly that we want to speaking with the farmers and engaging. Imagine. Martyrs, not martyrs. It's martyrs.
Okay, no, once again, Ashpreet, not like this.
So,
not like this, me and Shazia only. Ashpreet, you cannot take your time and then speak over others, including me. Please, please. Shazia, the fundamental question is, do you believe...
You have nothing to say.
Do you believe the Chief Minister, Ashok Gehlot, also has a point that there's a certain policy, they want to stick to that policy and the demands are unjustified? Very quickly, Shazia.
The fact of the matter is that he refused to see them. He refused to meet them. He refused to engage with them. He dealt with them in a most severe manner, which was completely insensitive. He seemed to have no words of consolation for them or any need to discuss anything. Not just that, they were being uprooted.
Yes.
And look at Arshdeep here. Instead of being so brazen about it and so completely trying to bamboozle his way, he has not a statement to give. He's all over the place. What is his obsession with BJP? What is his obsession? All the time will you keep using BJP as your ineptitude, insensitivity?
Jobs, do they not have rights?
And complete
do the children
breakdown?
not have any rights?
Yeah, see?
Children,
Let's hear you. Let's hear you.
They do not deserve anything. Yeah, hear me out, please. Is the Bharatiya Janata Party insinuating that the children
Can you comprehend? Nobody, there's nothing to hear. There is nothing to hear because you have nothing to say. There is nothing to hear because you have nothing to say but scream and shout some inanities.
Okay, no, I don't have time.
It's not working, Arshdeep. No. Answer the question. You answer the question. No, I'm not answering a question. You ask the answer. I'm asking. No, I'm not interested.
No, I'll come to that question once again. I don't have time for this back and forth. Ashpreet, your question of whether the kin should get the jobs or the children should get the jobs, it's a valid question, but I don't think anybody is saying that the children should not get the jobs. These widows are also arguing that you can also give it to some next of kin on compassionate ground, but I take your point. My question is not that. But Colonel Shailendra, I have a couple of minutes left. I want to come to you. What is happening to this country? You've got widows of Pulwama Martyrs protesting on the street, doing a dharna, and then they're uprooted at night, right? In the most merciless fashion. I don't quite see what was the requirement of that, even though the police has the duty to maintain law and order. I don't deny that. And then you recently had this story from Bihar, where a martyr's family was beaten up because they were trying to put up a statue of their Veer. Are governments leading this kinds of insensitive behavior that has seeped into our society? Yes, Mr. Singh.
If you can allow me, I will share with you. I didn't want to do this program because I thought I cannot stumble down to the political level that where martyrs are being treated insensitively, badly, and you keep blaming each other that yes, he did it. My dear political friends, both of you, my humble request to you is, if you cannot share the sorrow of ours, let's not instigate it. Let's not tickle it more. Let's not increase it. Be shameful that something wrong has happened. अब आपको मैं वो 2-3 बातें बताता हूँ. What are they asking? They have asked कि हमारे husband का एक remembrance की जगह बनाए. It is that expensive. You can't make it. You want a central government wants state. Is this your standard? Chalo, not a problem. You said NOK to be given a job. If the NOK is not eligible, if the children are small enough, why can't it be given to somebody whom the NOK is nominating?
Yeah.
Yes, you are right. अगर उसका बच्चा 2 साल का है, 4 साल का है, 5 साल का, you cannot give a job. Why are you into this blame game? You make me cry. I really wish. I'm so thankful to God कि ये सब मेरी बीवी के साथ नहीं हो रहा क्योंकि मैं unfortunately जिंदा हूं. That's the sad part of it. That is the worst part of it. आपके सीएम साहब बोलते हैं कि ये सिस्टम में अलाउड है या नहीं है. और नहीं अलाउड तो अलाउ करिए. Who will do the correct thing except blaming? Is that your level? Is that your standard as a CM? Is that what you are meant for? Rajasthan is my brave state. There is so much of bravery in army from Rajasthan. Is this where you are recognizing them?
Right.
I am not saying that the CM should meet them or not. That could be your choice. उन्होंने एक सड़क मांग ली. Oh my God! वो जयपुर की एक सड़क पर 5 नाम लगाने में आपकी नानी मर रही है. आपको रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन चाहिए. आपको सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट चाहिए. Shameful for me.
Okay. Unfortunately, I have to leave it at that.
Participating. But you know why did I participate?
Yeah.
Because as far as I am concerned, अन्याय सहना भी उतना ही बड़ा पाप है जितना आप पॉलिटिशियन मेरे वीरांगनाओं के साथ कर रहे हैं.
I've run out of time. I've run out of time. Ending on that note, it's an unfortunate note, but possibly this message will go to all governments concerned that there is a way to deal with people who lay down their lives for the country and their families. I have to slip into a very short break. On the other side, it's been a week since the Women's Premier League 2023 kicked off. Has the league managed to impress so far? I've got WPL expert Reema Malhotra joining me on the other side.
It should be condemned.
So why are Pakistani kids being taught that? Why are Pakistani kids in classes 8, 9 in Pakistani schools being taught that Gandhi was just a leader of the Hindus?
I think that curriculum is not right for young minds, and it should be rectified. That's my opinion. But how do you have the audacity to point out Pakistan's flaws? We don't accept Gandhi as a founding father.
Nobody said that you should accept Gandhi as the founding father of Pakistan. Everybody knows Mr. Jinnah was the founding father of Pakistan.
You accept and yet demonize him and glorify his killers.
No, that's a separate matter. I'll ask Shehzad that. I'm asking you a simple question. Do you think Gandhi was a communal leader? Do you think that Gandhi did nothing for Hindu-Muslim unity? Do you think that Gandhi was a leader only of the Hindus?
I don't think that Gandhi was a leader of only Hindus. He played a role for Hindu-Muslim unity. But then some of the things, I think he wasn't assertive enough, or maybe the hardliners ruled the roost at that time. So his camaraderie with Jinnah at one point was well known. But why don't you also do you condemn the killers of Gandhi being glorified in Modi's
Okay, let me ask Shehzad Poonawalla that. The contention by Mr. Altaf is that the killers of Gandhi are being feted by your party.
I'll get to that in just 30 seconds. But first, let me tell you that, the question that you're asking Omar Altaf is to basically deny his existence. If they believe genuinely that Mahatma Gandhi was the symbol of Hindu-Muslim unity, it obliterates Pakistan's existence. Because the very fact that Jinnah wanted Pakistan is because he felt that Muslims' interests wouldn't be secured by a country like India. So his entire existence is predicated on the fact that Mahatma Gandhi.
One second, Omar, let him finish. Please, Omar, one second.
Omar, it's called tolerance. It's called tolerance. I know you neither have theological or constitutional basis for it, but that's how debates in India work. So you want to try and practice a little bit of tolerance, theologically and constitutionally difficult for you, but try to learn it from an Indian Muslim. It helps. Now please pipe down and wait your turn. That's how we do it in India. So let me explain to you what is problem of Pakistan. Pakistan's problem is that it is the only country in the world that lives in a schizophrenic bipolar hatred of another country. Its existence is built on hating India and Hindus exclusively. It is not a country. Countries have armies. This army has a country and it's predicated on Atank, Allah and America. Allah and America are long gone. They only have Atank left, and this is indoctrination of Atank which is taking place in the schools of Pakistan, in the madrasas of Pakistan, that you hate somebody as a kafir, you hate even Gandhi as a kafir, you project him as a communal leader and you spew hatred. Now you come to me. You are saying that we praise and glorify the killers of Gandhi. No, sir. Let me explain to you something. By the way, your favorite party, the Congress party, has inducted the killer of Gandhi, Godse's supporter, Mr. Babulal Chaurasia, but that's another point. I'm not going to dish an opposition party in front of a Pakistani like you. You have no lecture. You know who kills Gandhi every day? The idea of Jinnah that Muslims and Hindus can't live together. And by the way, the idea of Gandhi has survived and the idea of Jinnah has collapsed. Please listen to me. An Indian Muslim stands here and represents the biggest, most democratic party in the world. Please do not, Zaka, I think
Omar,
I
one
deserve
second.
to
Omar, one second.
have
Let
a
him finish. I'll
a
come back to you.
Pakistani lecturing me on my
I'll give you
country.
ample time to rebut what he's saying, but let him finish his point. Yeah,
First
thank
of
you.
all, even when it comes to an opposition party in India, I don't need a Pakistani like you lecturing me, because I, as an Indian Muslim, represent the world's largest democracy on this platform. And by the way, please let me educate you on a couple of things. When we think of India or people of Indian origin, you think of the CEOs of the biggest companies in the world, Adobe, Microsoft, even the latest company, Pepsi or World Bank. But when we think of CEOs from Pakistan, they are the CEOs of terror companies.
They are full of content which is anti-India and anti-Hindu. Mahatma Gandhi and the International Congress are portrayed in a negative manner. There are repeated references to Muslims of India, and never do these books mention that we were one country that fought for independence. Pakistan did not exist before 1947. Even their participation in the fight against the British is repeatedly labelled as Muslim nationalism. In every other chapter that talks about the birth of Pakistan, there is emphasis on the Muslims of India always wanting to be a separate Muslim nation, even though tens of thousands, millions of Indian Muslims stayed back in India and did not go to Pakistan. There are recurring references in textbooks of how Muslims are not being able to trust Hindus in the fight for independence. The textbooks also stress on how Muslims were seemingly oppressed at the hands of the Hindu majority. Even in post-partition problems in Pakistan, whether it is feeding the refugees, mass violence, all of that has been blamed entirely on the Indian government. But the most stark reference in these history textbooks in Pakistan is to Mahatma Gandhi, who of course the world acknowledges was the man who led India's fight for freedom against British rule. Mahatma Gandhi has been reduced as a leader of just Hindus. The textbooks go on to accuse him of disregard for Muslims. The textbooks say, and I quote, Gandhi and his young supporters took charge of the Congress and the approach of Hindus as a majority and disregarded our Muslim rights, creating hatred, jealousy, and narrow-mindedness. There is a chapter on the formation of the Indian National Congress which says many Indians join hands to demand for India's nationalism purely Hindu in religion. The Indian National Congress therefore became a more Hindu political party than a voice of all of India. Now, it's not just that. These textbooks also pit Hindi against Urdu by referring to the 1867 controversy over the debate on which language should be chosen as a national language. Pakistani textbooks claim that Hindus wanted Hindi as the official language and that Hindi was pitched as an official language instead of Urdu. And riots broke out over Hindi versus Urdu as the official language. And these textbooks don't stop there. They blame India for the partition, never saying anything.
Ahead of the first season of the WPL, a lot of people were saying that, we'll have to wait and see a little bit of the few matches to really understand how the league is going to present itself, what is the level and the standard of cricket that's going to be played in it. Now that you have seen the first few matches, what would you say the WPL is offering in terms of the level of cricket? Because a lot of comparisons were natural between the WPL and what we've come to expect from the IPL, for example.
See, first of all, I think हम जिसकी वेट कर रहे थे वो स्टार्ट हुआ. कंपैरिजन के मैं कंपैरिजन करना नहीं चाहती क्योंकि मेन और वुमेन क्रिकेट सेम है बट लेवल शुरू से डिफरेंट रहा है. लेकिन अभी तक जो लेवल हमें देखने को मिला वो अच्छा लेवल देखने को मिला, जिसका कॉम्पिटिटिव क्रिकेट देखने को मिला जो हम देखना चाहते थे. हम देखना चाहते थे कि ओवरसीज के साथ हमारे इंडियन प्लेयर कैसे जेल करते हैं, कैसे परफॉर्मेंस उनकी निकलती है, कैसे अनकैप्ड प्लेयर जो है वो अपने परफॉर्मेंस दे पाते हैं. तो उस सिनेरियो पे अगर मैं जाऊं तो मुझे लगता है कि जो हम उम्मीद कर रहे थे उससे बेहतर ही अभी तक नजर आया है. तो आने वाले मैचेस में आप और बेटर परफॉर्मेंस देखेंगे क्योंकि अब पहली वीक में आप कॉम्बिनेशंस पे काम करते हैं, पहली वीक में आप समझने की कोशिश करते हैं व्हाट इज इट ऑल अबाउट. लेकिन अब आपको समझ में आ चुका है कि ये स्टेज आपसे क्या डिमांड कर रहा है और आपको ओवरसीज के साथ कैसे खेलना है. तो मुझे लगता है आने वाले और जो अनदर वीक है दैट विल बी अ बेटर वीक फॉर दिस WPL.
आपके हिसाब से, आपके एक्सपीरियंस में, आपके जो इंटरेक्शंस भी हो रही हैं, आपको क्या लगता है कि सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिट जो इंडियन प्लेयर्स है उनको क्या मिल रहा है? ये कि वो फॉरेन स्टार्स के साथ खेल रहे हैं, मोर एक्सपीरियंस प्लेयर्स के साथ खेल रहे हैं तो उनका लेवल नेचुरली इंप्रूव होगा, या एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड लीग में खेलने से जो फायदे होते हैं वो फायदा उनको मिलेगा? बहुत सारे एक्सपर्ट्स उनके पास हैं एज पार्ट ऑफ देयर टीम, या जो स्टेज उनको मिला है अपना परफॉर्मेंस देने का, अपने गेम को एक्सप्रेस करने का, आपको क्या लगता है कि सबसे मेजर फायदा इन प्लेयर्स को क्या होने वाला है?
देखिए ऑन एंड ऑफ द फील्ड दोनों तरफ फायदा होने वाला है। अगर मैं ऑन द फील्ड की बात करूं तो आप लेजेंड्स के साथ ड्रेसिंग रूम शेयर करें, चाहे बी इट सपोर्ट स्टाफ और प्लेयर्स, इंटरनेशनल प्लेयर्स, पहला बेनिफिट आपको वो होने वाला है। उसके बाद आप कॉम्पिटिटिव क्रिकेट आपको देखने को मिल रहा है, खेलने को मिल रहा है। क्योंकि अगर आप डोमेस्टिक की बात करेंगे, डोमेस्टिक और इंटरनेशनल में बहुत डिफरेंस है। सो वो डिफरेंस हमें नजर आता है जब कोई डोमेस्टिक प्लेयर पिक होता है और स्ट्रेट अवे इंटरनेशनल खेलता है। तो ये WPL जो है ना, ये आपका वो गैप, वो ब्रिज का काम करेगा कि अब आप कहेंगे कि आपको ग्रूम करने की जरूरत नहीं है। WPL के आने के बाद आपको रेडी प्लेयर मिलेंगे वहां पे परफॉर्मेंस देने के लिए, जो प्रेशर हैंडल कर सकते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा क्राउड में खेल सकते हैं। और इंटरेक्शन वाइज भी मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि डोमेस्टिक प्लेयर्स आप बात करेंगे ना, वो खुल के बात नहीं कर पाते हैं, टाइम्स अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पाते। लेकिन अभी पहले वीक में मैंने ये चेंज देखा कि आप किसी भी लड़की से बात करोगे ना, वो अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस कर पा रही है, चाहे वो इंटरव्यूज हो, चाहे मेरी इंटरेक्शन हो पर्सनली। मुझे एक चीज हमेशा से खलती थी कि आप बात नहीं कर पाते, आप अपने आप को बता नहीं पाते आपको क्या चाहिए, कि आप किस में कंफर्टेबल हो, आप कहाँ पे कंफर्टेबल हो। लेकिन अब आप, मेरी कल 2-3 प्लेयर से बात भी हो रही थी, इवन शायका से भी मेरी बात हुई थी। अब वो बताती है कि मुझे क्या चाहिए, कैसा चाहिए, कहाँ मैं बॉल डाल सकती हूँ। मैंने उससे पूछा आपकी स्ट्रेंथ क्या है, उन्होंने बोला बस मेरे हाथ में बॉल होनी चाहिए। एट टाइम्स तो मैं हैदरी को बोलती थी कि आप मुझे बॉल दो, मैं आपको विकेट देती हूँ। तो ये चेंजेस मुझे इस WPL से देखने को मिल रहा है, जो एज अ क्रिकेटर हमारे डोमेस्टिक प्लेयर के लिए बहुत बेनिफिशियल होने वाला है।
तो आप जो बात कह रही है ना, जो कॉन्फिडेंस की बात जो आप कर रहे हो, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है और वो नेचुरली बहुत चेंज देखने को मिलेगा। क्या आप एक बात बता सकती हैं कि आपके टाइम में और ये जो अब जो लड़कियों को ये जो WPL के एक्सपीरियंस से जो मिल रहा है, उसमें सबसे ज्यादा आपको फर्क क्या लगता है आपके टाइम में और अब के टाइम में?
हमारे टाइम में और अब के टाइम में फर्क यह है कि हम खेल नहीं पाए और वो खेल पा रहे हैं। और सोच की बात करूं तो देखिए, अब क्रिकेट बहुत आगे निकल चुका है, काफी तेज हो चुका है। पहले T20 शुरुआत हमने की थी, लेकिन उतने रन्स बनते नहीं थे, चाहे वो ODI हो चाहे वो T20 हो। लेकिन अब आप को पावर हिटिंग देखने को मिलती है। सबसे बड़ा डिफरेंस जो हमारे टाइम पे और अब के टाइम के क्रिकेटर्स में है, वो है पावर हिटिंग। उतने बड़े शॉट्स देखने को नहीं मिलते थे, टाइमर ऑफ द बॉल मिलते थे, ग्राफ्टर मिलते थे। एक ये डिफरेंस मुझे देखने को मिला क्रिकेटिंग वाइज अगर मैं बात करूं। और सोच वाइज बात करूं, अब आप पहले ना मैं कैसे उसको डिस्क्राइब करूं, अब के जो क्रिकेटर्स है ना, वो लड़ना जानते हैं, फाइट करना जानते हैं, जवाब देना जानते हैं। अगर आप पहले ऑस्ट्रेलियन कुछ बोलते थे तो हम चुप हो जाते थे, लेकिन अब ऑस्ट्रेलियन बोलने से पहले सोचते हैं कि पता है सामने से आएगा। और हमने ऑस्ट्रेलिया को ऑस्ट्रेलिया में जाके हराया है, इंग्लैंड को इंग्लैंड में जाके हराया है। तो ये चेंजेस ये WPL लेके आया है। अब के क्रिकेटर्स की सोच जो है वो बहुत आगे निकल चुकी है, जो कि एक अच्छा साइन है वुमेन्स क्रिकेट के लिए।
अच्छा, तो अब मुझे ये बताइए, मैं थोड़े से क्विक फायर क्वेश्चंस आपकी तरफ फेंकती हूँ। आपको अभी तक में सबसे ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग टीम कौन सी लग रही है WPL में?
चाहती मैं DC बोलना थी, बट मुंबई इंडियंस के साथ जाऊंगी।
Well, no surprises there. मुंबई इंडियंस IPL को भी डोमिनेट कर रहे हैं और अब ऐसा लग रहा है कि WPL को भी डोमिनेट कर सकते हैं।
अपनी लेगेसी आगे लेके जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि उनका ऑक्शन का जो होमवर्क होता है ना, वो स्पॉट ऑन होता है। उसकी वजह से आपको ये अभी रिजल्ट नजर आ रहे हैं, जो भी 3 में से 3 मैच जीते हैं, जो हैट्रिक मारी उन्होंने जीत की।
और सबसे एक्साइटिंग प्लेयर आपको कौन सा लगा है? एस्टैब्लिश्ड प्लेयर्स में कोई एक पिक कीजिए, और यंग जो आपने शायद नहीं देखा हो या नहीं सुना हो जिसके बारे में, जिन्होंने आपको सरप्राइज किया है, उसका भी एक नाम बताइए।
देखिए, डोमेस्टिक में एस्टेब्लिश्ड प्लेयर साइका थी, जिन्होंने बहुत अच्छी परफॉर्मेंस दी है, और जहां से वो बिलोंग करती है और जहां तक वो पहुंची है, मेरे लिए वो बहुत अच्छा लगा देखे, क्योंकि मैं उसके साथ खेली हूँ, और जहां तक वो पहुंची है वो अपनी मेहनत से पहुंची है। और एक और नाम मैं लेना चाहूंगी, जसिया अख्तर, जो कश्मीर के, साउथ कश्मीर के बहुत छोटे से शहर से आती है। उनकी जर्नी भी बड़ी अच्छी रही है, लेकिन DC ने अभी तक उनको खेलने का मौका दिया नहीं है। वो एक प्लेयर टू वॉच आउट फॉर है आने वाले मैचेस में। मेरे को लगता है डोमेस्टिक की इस टाइम हार्डेस्ट हिटर है वो।
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. There is a big political face-off in the state of Rajasthan right ahead of the state elections. The widows of the Pulwama Martyrs have demanded government jobs for extended family members. They have been protesting for over a week, accusing the state government and the state police of harassment, and that the state government has not lived up to its promise. The widows were in fact detained late last night by the police as they refused to relent, demanding immediate government aid. after Sachin Pilot met the widows and urged the Chief Minister to relax the government rules as well as take action against the errant cops. The Chief Minister has refused to budge, saying government jobs are meant only for the children of martyrs, not extended family members. The Chief Minister has made it clear that he will not set a wrong precedent under political pressure. But the BJP has taken a direct shot at the Chief Minister, accusing him of insulting military families and treating them as common criminals. BJP workers also clashed with the police, demanding the state government deliver justice to the widows. The political showdown is only escalating between the BJP and the Congress. But the big question remains, is it hampering a solution or a middle ground when addressing the plight of the Pulwama widows?
आखिर ऐसा क्या मांग रही हैं वीरांगनाएं और ऐसी क्या बात है कि राजस्थान सरकार के मुख्यमंत्री उनसे मिलने से मना कर रहे हैं। ये कांग्रेस पार्टी झूठी पार्टी है और झूठे वादे करती है।
And earlier today, I spoke to BJP MP Rajavardhan Rathore and I began by asking him, Mr. Rathore, you did a press conference in which you raised concerns regarding the Pulwama Martyrs family in the context of your home state. The latest issue is, of course, of Pulwama Martyrs' wife, in fact, widow being manhandled and assaulted by the Rajasthan police because they were demanding their rights. What they were demanding was something that was promised to them. Does it actually put the focus on how the Congress response to the martyr and armed forces in general has been? What do you really want from the Ashok Gehlot government?
See, you have to see the issue in its entirety. There are certain rules, regulations for those killed in action, for as you usually call martyrs. There's central government that gives them benefit. There's the armed forces, then there's the state government that gives them benefits. Now, the other issue is, especially when Pulwama happened, emotions were very high. The video, if you would please show to the people, is of the time when the last rites were happening of one of the martyrs. And that's where the Chief Minister, then Chief Minister, and the present Chief Minister had sent his emissaries, his ministers, to speak to the family. Now, those ministers who were there with the authority of the Chief Minister promised certain things to the family. Now, either they were plainly lying and giving fake promises, or they didn't even know what they were talking about. So the Chief Minister is responsible for things that were promised to the family then. Now for the Chief Minister to say, look, here are the rules and regulations, is incorrect, because something was promised to the families at that point of time. Mind you, at that point of time, the elections were round the corner, and therefore it becomes very, very convenient for Congress to give fake promises, false promises, exactly what they did with the unemployed youth, to say that hum aapko berojgari bhatta denge, exactly what they did for the Kisan, saying that in 10 days your loans will be waived off. I mean, everything is a farce for Congress. And now, so these two things, and now just the plain attitude of how do you treat a martyr's family? How do you treat a family of the person killed in action? Are you going to mistreat them on the roads? Are you going to drag them on the roads? Are you going to beat them with sticks? Are you going to use your police force for them? If you have the might, why don't you use your police force on those who are breaking law and order? There's enough number of cases in Rajasthan where people are taking the law in their own hands. Why is the police not acting there? You want to use your police might on these people? And tell me, why can't the Chief Minister just plain simply meet these families. Is he so scared of these families of the martyrs? Because perhaps he's scared because he's promised them something that he cannot deliver. And he's promised them on the pretext of the elections. Now he goes, Chief Minister goes to Delhi regularly for that National Herald case, is a 5,000 crore scam. He goes there, but he doesn't have the time to meet the families.
Yes. Since you're talking about the demands, Mr. Rathore, these demands are legitimate, certainly, because if you look at it, asking for construction of roads in the village is what these family wants. They are asking for jobs to relatives on ground of compensation as promised. Since the BJP has sought the intervention of the governor, what's next? You are saying that these promises were timed with election and nothing has been delivered. Evidently, how is the BJP planning to take this up?
No, but first I must tell you that what are these asking? What are the martyrs' families asking? One of the families, and the Chief Minister has remarked in his Twitter that is asking for the third statue to be placed in the center of the city. So here is a family, Gandhi family, who has 400 schemes on their name, but a battle casualty, a martyr. For him to have the third statue is asking for too much. I mean, even if they're asking for third statue, what is so big about it? Cannot the Chief Minister talk to the family and perhaps put the third statue? It's so small and he's not even willing to meet them. That's the issue. The minister in the video is clearly promising a job for the brother-in-law of the lady whose husband died. Right? Now, once he's promised, either he's a minister, he's standing there with an authority. If he's promised, live up to your promise. Don't quote us rules. No, don't forget us. Don't quote the family the rules. There has to be certain respect. So they're asking for schools to be named after them. They're asking for roads to be made. Roads are for the benefit of everyone. So what is so big that they are asking that you're not even willing to meet them? Now coming to what is our party doing? Of course, we are raising this matter. We want this matter to be settled amicably. We respect those killed in action. We respect, for us, India comes first. It's very straight and simple. And anybody who's strengthening the nation, whether it is in economic might, whether it's military might, is number one family for us. So these martyrs' families are number one family. As far as any VIP is concerned, these are the VIPs for us. But for Congress, unfortunately, no. They use them for their politicking. Now they're thrashing them. It's just disgusting and disgraceful. The Chief Minister should meet them. That is the first thing that should happen. Okay. And of course, either you have respect for those who are fighting for the nation or you don't have. So I don't think so we can now say that Congress should have respect for those fighting for the nation. Perhaps they can never have. Because you see Rahul Gandhi, how often he's questioning. He's questioning about the surgical strikes. He's questioning about what is happening in Galwan, whether the Indian army is getting beaten up there. That's what he's stating there. So these people cannot ever be taught how to respect the armed forces or the families of the armed forces. So let's forget about that.
Mr. Rathore, last question to you. Should there be a code for how all governments deal with armed forces and martyrs to ensure uniformity in dealing with the sensitive issue of the dignity of men in uniform?
So now, Maria, you are asking something which the government should always be doing, which is taking care of, coming up with the laws to take care of the families. Now, these laws can be dynamic. It's nothing sacrosanct that they should not change as per the time. They should be dynamic. What is required is simply that, number one, the children need to be taken care of till the time they grow up. Their education needs to be taken care of. The parents of the martyr, mother and father, they need to be taken care of. The wife needs to be taken care of. And obviously, how do you raise a family? You need resources, you need money. So a job is required. Now, for the Chief Minister to say that the job is reserved for the children is fair in a way. But number one, you promised that the job will be given to the brother-in-law. Number two, till the time the children grow up, what is the family going to do? Right? So there has to be resources. These are dynamic problems. The problems cannot be very static. That there's a formula laga diya, us formula se sab kuch hota rahega. These situations are dynamic, and that's why governments are formed. That's why people with a heart to take care of the people who strengthen the nation. They need to be taken care of. At this point of time, government of Rajasthan needs to play the role of parents for this family, which unfortunately, look at the way they are doing. That is what they need to do. If they need to learn lessons from us, if they need to learn how to make policies for us, they can always come up to us. We as opposition are always willing to help. But number one thing is the Chief Minister needs to listen to these people.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, Rajvardhan Rathore. They are raising the question as to why the Chief Minister has not even visited the family. That's a legitimate question to ask. Joining me on the panel now, Shahzad Poonawala, BJP National Spokesperson here in the studio, Advocate Mahima Singh, Congress Spokesperson. We also have General KJ Singh, Defence Expert. Mahima Singh, Pulwama attack has unfortunately been at the center of political controversy. If the Congress has been questioning the attacks itself and imputing a conspiracy angle, then one may say that this insensitivity is only expected.
Good evening, Maria. Good evening, all. I am